Kenyan, how are you doing? I hope you're fine. Now, over the weekend, a lot of politics went on, from candidates declaring their presidential bids to William Ruto being in Nyeri. Okay, weekend, particularly on Sunday, CS or former CS Owalo announced that in 2027 he is going to contest for the presidential seat. This no one saw coming. Nobody saw this coming. This is the report done by NTV about the same.
And Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and government efficiency in the office of the President, Eliud Owalo, has declared his intention to challenge his boss, President William Ruto, in the 2027 general elections. Now, Owalo made the announcement on Sunday during a church service at Nomia Church in Siaya County, stating that he plans to seek the presidency on the ticket of a political party he will unveil in due course. Okusa with more details.
Speaking with quiet confidence, former cabinet secretary said his decision was rooted in long years of public service at the highest levels of government.
I've today made a deliberate and conscious decision that cometh the year 2027, I'll be submitting myself as a candidate for purposes of the presidential race in the elections for purposes of the presidency of the Republic of Kenya.
Addressing the congregation, whom he noted form part of the Nomia Church's estimated 1.5 million membership, a base he hopes to rally behind his bid, Owalo said this experience uniquely positions him to lead the country.
I played a fundamental role in Ruto's 2022 presidential campaign. I brought Ruto to Nyanza at a time when nobody could imagine.
He cited his service in senior roles under former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, and in President Ruto's cabinet as evidence of his readiness to govern.
Politically, I've worked for each and every politician worth his salt in this country. And I've done my bit. But come 2027, I want to change the paradigm. I will not continue working for political individuals, but I want to work for the Kenyan people, the Kenyan masses.
Owalo, who is also the patron of Gor Mahia Football Club, hopes to galvanize the club's vast and passionate support base to back his bold march towards the White House on the Hill.
Including but not limited to Nomia Church, which is my church of birth, a church which was started by my grandfather.
His declaration sets the stage for a dramatic political contest, transforming a trusted insider into a challenger and signaling that the race for the 2027 has begun to gather momentum. Okusa, NTV.
Kenyan politics is never loud when it is serious. When you hear noise, it's theater. When you see silence, that's strategy. And right now, the silence around Eliud Owalo's resignation is louder than any press conference. Eliud Owalo resigns as Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of delivery and government efficiency, just a day after he stands in Nomia Church, Siaya County, and declares he has served politicians long enough. He is now ready to serve the people. He will run for president in 2027. He will unveil a party in due course. He speaks of Nomia's 1.5 million membership, Gor Mahia's passionate fan base, unity, purpose, destiny. Sounds inspirational, but Kenyan politics is never about what is said. It is about what is not said. Let's correct something important. Owalo is not wake-up ambitious after resigning. Before resigning, he was donating, supporting churches, funding activities, associating with Gor Mahia as their patron, building goodwill That was not generosity. That was positioning. In politics, charity before resignation is never charity. It is campaign infrastructure. Before 2022, Owalo was in Raila's shadow, then Wetangula's orbit, then finally in the Ruto system. He was not a mass politician, he was a system man. His national visibility only came when Ruto appointed him CS for ICT, later reshuffled him out after Gen Z protest, then brought him closer to the State House as Deputy Chief of Staff. Owalo did not grow outside the system. He was manufactured inside it. Let's be honest. Eliud Owalo is not running to be president. He is running to be useful. No new party launches vague. No serious presidential bid says party to be unveiled later without groundwork. This is not confusion. This is coordination. Now enters ODM's big mistake. ODM through Oburu Oginga sent a message, not directly, but clearly. Support Ruto in 2027? Then ODM must get serious power. Not just cabinet seats, not handshakes, not photo ops, real power. And everyone understood what that meant. Deputy President. William Ruto cannot and will not give ODM the Deputy President position. Not because he dislikes ODM, but because Mount Kenya exists. Mount Kenya is vote-rich, politically wounded, economically frustrated, emotionally volatile. You do not abandon Mount Kenya and survive politically. That is why Ruto keeps praising Kithure Kindiki. That is why Kindiki is constantly defended. That is why Central is kept in the conversation. That is why today at Nyeri, he said that he cannot abandon Mount Kenya votes, those who voted for him, going for the wapumbavu, quote unquote. Here's the video of the same.
Tuko pamoja watu wa Nyeri. Mimi nauliza nyinyi, ndio mimi nikuwe rais. Si nyinyi mlinipigia kura? Yaani mnafikiri mimi nitakuwa mjinga niwache watu walinipigia kura niende nitafutane na watu wa pumbavu? Neko kana tikwo. Tuko pamoja. Na mimi naelewa. Si nyinyi ndio mtachaguana? Si nyinyi mtapima kila mtu na ile kazi mlimpatia? Si nyinyi mlinipatia ya barabara? Mkaniambia nipange elimu. Mkaniambia nipange kilimo. Mkaniambia nipange matibabu. Si mimi nitakuja hapa niwaeleze ile kazi nimefanya? Si nyinyi mtasahihisha? Ama namna gani? Tuko pamoja ama tuko pamoja? Mtu ya makelele na vitimbi atapata nafasi hapa?
Story continued on and on. So, even if Ruto only gets 25 to 30% of Mount Kenya votes, that fraction still matters. Politics is arithmetic, not emotions. If Kindiki becomes politically untenable, Anne Waiguru is available. A Mount Kenya running mate remains non-negotiable. The rule is fixed. The deputy president must come from Mount Kenya. ODM was asking for something structurally impossible. So when Ruto told ODM during the Genoa Cup tournament in Homa Bay County that go marshal your bases or go prepare yourselves and be together, that was not encouragement. That was a test, and ODM failed it spectacularly. ODM today is fighting internally, accusing each other of selling the party, silencing dissent, targeting Sifuna, Orengo, Babu, Amisi, and many others, including Otsotsi, who is the deputy party leader. With about 2027, a divided party cannot negotiate power. It can only negotiate survival. This is where Owalo comes in. Ruto looked at ODM and realized something. I don't need to defeat ODM, I just need to reduce it. That is cheaper, that is cleaner, that is safer. Owalo's real assignment is simple. Ensure ODM never gets control, never again controls 100% of Nyanza. If ODM controls 100%, it demands deputy president. 70% it negotiates hard. 50% it becomes polite. 40% it becomes irrelevant. Owalo's party does not need to win Nyanza. It just needs to fracture it. A state-aligned party has resources, protection, media access, logistics. ODM will be fighting with loyalty. Owalo will be fighting with infrastructure. That's not democracy. That's political engineering. Owalo's sudden love for Gor Mahia is not sportsmanship. Gor Mahia is national, emotional, tribal, transcending, loud. It is a ready-made political megaphone. Once ODM is weakened, its bargaining power collapses, deputy president is off the table, cabinet seats become enough. Dissent becomes easy to crush. ODM then becomes a junior partner, a supporter, not a decider, a shadow of its former self. Eliud Owalo is not running against Raila. He is not replacing ODM. He is not running against Oburu. He is being used to make ODM negotiable. And once a party becomes negotiable, it stops being powerful. In Kenyan politics, you don't destroy your opponent, you weaken them quietly, divide their base, shrink their numbers, and let them negotiate from fear. Owalo is not the storm, it's the crack in the wall, and walls don't collapse loudly, they collapse from inside. That's all from HiiStory Network. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share for much more analysis like that. Good day. Bye.